Hey guys, all right, welcome back to day 2 of classifying 2D shapes. So yesterday we focused mainly on classifying quadrilateral shapes with 4 sides, but that's not all our TEAC talks about. So our TEAC talks about just 2D shapes. So that could be triangles, could be quadrilaterals, could be shapes with 5 sides. Those are pentagons, shapes with 6 sides, hexagons, octagons, like any type of shape. So not just quadrilaterals. And also it's not just about the sides. So we focused on, like, does it have parallel sides or perpendicular sides? But it's also going to be about the angles. What type of angles do they have? So that's what we're going to focus on today. So let's look at some examples. So I'm gonna do this little activity and you're gonna follow along. So it says classifying figures. We're gonna find the odd one out. So for each set, there's one that doesn't match the others, and we're trying to find which one doesn't belong. Circle the figure in each set that is different from the other two figures and justify your choice. So let's look at this one. We have figure A, figure B, and a figure C. I want you to look at those, and I want you to think about which one you think does not belong right now. Excuse me. Do you think A is the weird one out, B is the weird one out, and C is the weird one out, and why? I'm going to kind of think through it with you. So looking at this, I'm going to look at lines and I'm going to look at angles and see what they have in common. So this one I know has a set of parallel sides. That's what these arrows mean. So this is parallel with this. Let me grab a highlighter and mark those for us, right? So parallel lines. So it has one set of parallel. This one has two sets of parallel, right? So two here, that's one set, and then another set there, two sets of parallel lines, and it has 4 right angles. So 2 sets and 4 right angles. C also has, that's one set of parallel lines, and this is another set of parallel lines, and it also has 4 right angles. So 2 sets of parallel and then 4 right angles. So it seems to me that A seems to be out because it only has one set of parallel lines and it has no right angles, and the other ones have that. So I would write, I choose figure A. This figure is a trapezoid because trapezoids only have one set of parallel lines. It does not match because it only has one set of parallel lines and 0 right angles. This is my abbreviation for right angles. All right, so let's take a look at set 2. Some of these have more than one right answer. You could argue them different ways. So set 2, which one of these do you think does not belong? A, B, or C? So look, and we're going to compare angles and we're going to compare parallel lines. So I know it looks like A and C have right angles, but B does not. And it looks like B and C have parallel lines. A only has one set of parallel lines. So we could argue a couple different things here. So this one, look, one set of parallel lines. These all have 2 sets. This one parallel and then parallel this way, 2 sets. So I think we could say figure A is out because it only has one set of parallel lines and the other ones have 2 sets. Or if we go by angles, this one has right angles, this one has right angles, B doesn't have any right angles. So we could say figure B is out, and it's a parallelogram because it doesn't match because it's missing right angles. The other ones have right angles, so either one would be fine. All right, and let's look at this last one. So we have been doing quadrilaterals. Here's one with triangles. So we have 3 types of triangles. Remember, a right angle is 90 degrees. An acute has to be less than 90, and then obtuse is more than 90. So here we have numbers instead of them telling you. So you're going to have to know, is that acute, right, or obtuse? So all three triangles, let's figure out which one is odd. So let's look at the angle size. So 50 degrees, is that right, acute, or obtuse? Well, 50 is less than 90, so you should know this is acute. 65 is acute. 65 is acute. So this one has all acute angles. Let's look at B. 60 degrees, that is acute. 60 degrees, that is acute. 60 degrees, that is acute. So this one has all acute angles. That makes both of these acute triangles. Well, let's look at this last one, C. 32, that is acute. 18, that is acute. 130, that's more than 90. So this is an obtuse angle. So that makes this one an obtuse triangle and the others are acute triangles. So the odd one out here has to be C. So figure C is out. Figure C is an obtuse triangle, right? And it is out. It does not match the others because the others are acute triangles, and this one is an obtuse triangle. All right? What I want to do is I want to show you a couple of questions, and I'm going to give you the answers, okay? The answers are going to be on the sheet of paper, but what I want to show you is not the answer. I want you to think through these types of questions. These are star release questions based off of this TEK, and I want you to think about how you're going to have to think through these questions, because the answers are on here. I don't even care, because sure, but you can circle the answer, but if you don't understand what it's talking about, then that's what I want us to focus on. So let's look. Which figure cannot have parallel line segments? So for a question like this, you have to first think, okay, cannot have what? Parallel line segments. That means you have to know what parallel lines are. We just have been talking about this. So parallel lines never, ever, ever touch. So you're looking for which one of these shapes does not have parallel lines. You're probably going to have to draw each of these, okay? So a square. Does a square have parallel lines? Yeah, a square has parallel lines. Look, it's got some right here, and it's got some right here. So I'm looking for which one cannot have parallel lines, right? So not square. A pentagon. Now, normally, if you think about a pentagon, you think like this, and oh, they're not parallel. But you can draw a pentagon as a shape with 5 sides. But you can draw it with 5 sides. Think about a house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a pentagon. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, but it also has, look, 2 parallel lines. Those lines are parallel. So a pentagon can have parallel sides depending on how you draw it. One of these is impossible to have parallel sides. Okay, look at C, triangle. Okay, any type of triangle that we draw, can we have parallel sides? Well, I have like a line here, but to be parallel, I would have to have it over here. That doesn't work. Okay, for this one, here, I would have to be up here. There's no line there. If be parallel with this one, it would have to be here. There's no lines there, right? A triangle is not going to have parallel sides. Probably this one. Trapezoid, I know, has 1 set of parallel sides. So which one absolutely is impossible to have parallel sides? It's C, triangle. So we knew the answer was going to be triangle, but I wanted to show you how you have to think through each of these things. Okay, let's do one more. It says, Lisa drew a figure on the front of her notebook that has 2 obtuse angles. which figure could be the one that she drew. So we're going to have to look at each of these 4 shapes. We're going to have to draw them and figure out which one has 2 obtuse angles. We know the answer is going to be parallelogram, but let me show you why it's not these other ones. So F rectangle. Well, for starters, draw a rectangle. A rectangle has 4 right angles. So a rectangle cannot have 2 obtuse angles, right? That's out of the question. Obtuse triangle. This looks promising. Obtuse. I'm looking for obtuse angles. So let's draw an obtuse triangle. Okay, well, yeah, this angle's obtuse, but what are these other ones? They're acute. Remember, every single triangle in the world will have 2 acute angles, and it's just the 3rd angle that's different. So obtuse triangle, that only has 1. Parallelogram. This is a parallelogram, has 2, this side is parallel with this side's parallel with this side. And look, this angle right here, obtuse. This angle right here, obtuse. This angle here, acute. This angle here, acute. So it has 2 obtuse angles. That's why C is correct. I mean, so H, yeah, same thing. And then the last one, right triangle. I've got a right angle here. Remember, the other 2 angles in every triangle are always acute. So there's 0 obtuse angles here. So can't be right triangle. We're going to practice some more of these questions, but they're questions that you're going to have to mentally think through. You're going to have to know what these vocabulary words mean and know how to draw them so you're able to think through and classify what type of shapes these are.